Okay, sorry guys, I think the sunlight was so bright it hit the camera that it actually turned it off, so you missed part of it. I'll catch it on the way back out. This is part 2 of Natural Tunnel State Park walk that we're taking here. I don't know why the camera went off. The only thing I can think of is that sun blasted in it right full blast and probably hit the sensor or something and knocked it out. I don't know how well you guys can read this. It's always hard for me to see when the sunlight is behind me and it's just reflecting off the screen on my cell phone there. Okay. Well, they got a bunch of these signs down through here. But we'll stop at each one here and give you a second. You could always pause it. Okay. Looks like the visitor center might be closed. Just give you a second there, guys. Looks like kind of just a little layout. Okay.
That thing's closed.
Yeah, I figured it probably was since y'all didn't go in.
There's a bathroom up there though.
Oh.
That's what I went to.
Oh, it looks like a nice little farmstead for a small place. I don't really know what that place is.
How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Okay.
Good.
All right. You guys live in this area?
Appalachia.
That's where I was born and raised.
Really?
Yeah, we was up there at that ball game last night.
I ain't been to a ball game since they shut down
Yeah.
high school.
And we went up there, we went into Country Kitchen in
Sorry.
Big Stone yesterday, or this
Yeah.
morning, and they ate
That's
breakfast.
a good place.
It is,
I
and
love it there.
then we went up there and walked that Powell River Trail.
Did you go to school right now? Did
Yeah, sure did.
you go to school with any Hiltons?
David Hilton,
Yeah.
it said, yeah, went to school with David Hilton, and, there's another Hilton, I can't think his name. But David Hilton, I know David, remember David?
David is one of Papa's youngest brother.
Okay,
My
okay.
dad's Avery. I think David's a little older.
Yeah, there was another one too, I can't think his name.
Chester?
No,
I don't understand any of them.
yeah, they lived in Stone Age, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, I school with them. I graduated in '72. That makes me an old man. I'm 67 years old, that's, I wanna be your great grandpa.
You should check out that new barbecue place they have in Appalachia.
Yeah, we're going, my son
I
went
think we're
up
gonna check
there.
it out this evening.
Yeah, he went up there, the other day, he said his credit couldn't get in, but it's supposed to be really good, and if you don't like barbecue, they got other stuff too.
Yeah, they have hamburgers and
Yeah, yeah,
chicken and
yeah.
the puppy dog.
But we, if you walk that trail, you get the Powell River Trail.
Mhm.
They're supposed to be working on getting that from the green belt to Big Stone all the way to Northern. I don't know when they'll get that done.
I reckon they're waiting on Big Stone to finish up there.
Yeah,
God
yeah.
knows how long that'll take.
Yeah, that's what I
We're gonna wait
heard.
for them to come, people up there to come down. It'd be too crowded.
How was it?
It was great.
Good.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I'm sure they're gonna have lots
Okay.
of questions when
You'll
they
sign
come
my
out.
book?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
Do you need an address or anything? I put 4 children.
Okay, that's good. Now, where you put swimming to here?
Crystal Highway.
Okay,
That's near East Carver, you know.
okay. I live in Duffield, and I gotta work in Bristol.
Oh, sure.
Need to work some 55 minutes iron five.
Yo, Joe,
You're using it over here.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't want to live in Bristol, so we split together. We used to have like Virginia.
sit down a little bit.
Did you like it?
Moved to Bristol, so we split
You wanna
together.
move in?
Loved it, Duffield.
Huh? You can have your own room up there.
It's okay.
So girls, do you have any questions? Would you like to live in a place like this? Probably. No, I bet you wouldn't for long, though. Cause you wouldn't have any TVs or cell phones
They're
or.
good with that.
Oh, really? Well, that's unusual this day and age.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah.
I like your hat.
Well, thank you. That's a tricorn hat. A lot of the kids get me confused and call me a pirate. They wore tricorn hats, but most of them wore rod rim hat, okay? I wish I had my flintlock musket finished. I got a gunsmith in Churchill, Tennessee, that's putting it together. It's a 1740s replica of a New England feller flintlock musket, which made its way.
How was it?
Here, and so-
Did you like it?
My dad was
Wanna move in?
Yeah,
he moved to
Huh?
Massachusetts
You can have your own room.
in New England.
yeah.
Gotta do chores in the morning though. Gotta go out there and plow some fields and cut some firewood.
Well,
And I found a picture of him
Yeah.
recently,
well,
and there was smoke all over the place, and he had a big grin on his face watching the team with him win, and,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's
those are antique guns, I'm
So
telling
will
you.
you shoot it, or will you?
Just for demonstration.
Uh-huh,
Yeah,
nice,
you
well,
can-
that's a good thing though, to
Mhm.
see how the demonstration.
The park, you have to have it inspected every week at the park if you bring it in here for just.
How was it, guys?
Which is good.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Cool.
Well, have a blessed day, thank you
Okay,
so
all
much.
right, you guys be careful.
Thank you.
Okay.
Dad, you can go first.
Y'all got any questions?
Be careful.
The gun points would have been deerskin roll paper or even wood. What's this thing built with? Ladder here,
Built to code.
Well, this is kinda cool.
These holes in the floor on the upper story overhangs the bottom story.
Yeah.
That was in case they came under attack, they could shoot it.
Yeah, that's what they want.
Anybody trying to.
Oh, cool.
They would
And that's
shoot
what
out
all
them
these
holes.
little windows are too.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Gun portals.
Somebody claims this.
Wow.
They actually come here and does this. Well, I'm gonna create something over here.
Well, this is how a family lived.
There's a wool
That's a
thing,
spinning wheel, yeah.
like that one guy, what's his name? His
That looked like a-
soul or whatever.
A cross stitch thing over there, but I don't know if they actually did cross stitch in those days. Maybe it was for quilting.
Well, that's spinning wheel, I think of Sleeping Beauty or anything else.
No, the guy, the man, that takes the babies, the firstborn baby, like in a fairy tale.
It wasn't a man,
Yeah,
it
it
was
is.
Maleficent.
No,
Yes.
it was a man.
Let's see if we can open this right here. If it breaks, well. Oh, there's nothing in it.
Getting bad. Wonder what the fillers are right now. There's their teapot.
It wouldn't surprise me if you lay down on that thing, it just break through.
Well, it's got ropes.
Huh?
It's ropes. And you'd have to pull them. That's where the phrase
Oh, okay.
sleep tight came from, was when they had beds like this.
Yeah, that man can tell you the story. We
First time we came here, they actually had a lady that brought you up here and told you about all of it.
Oh,
Last
well, I
couple
thought
times, they
that's
just
why
had
he-
somebody standing down
I
there.
mean, he can.
I
mean,
thought that's
sword.
what he was doing.
I'm sure he knows.
Look, checkers.
I'd love to have one of these old timey cradles.
We'll have to ask him, what's the history on the rope beds? Just so he
Dad,
can,
you have more questions. Maybe he'll let you record them, huh?
Well, I know he will. I did tell him the camera was on.
Let you record him telling the story.
I'm just gonna ask him a question and I'm gonna record his answer. But that's pretty cool. Got gun ports right there, guys. Can shoot the enemy when they come.
Yep.
Farmer stealing potatoes, or whether it was an Indian coming, because they didn't want you here. Don't know which.
Maybe this guy down here will tell us the history. I'm not good with asking questions, but I know.
Well, I don't know if this was the original location of this.
I don't know that either. I can't remember. But yeah, a lady took us on a tour before.
That would be cool.
Like we sat down here and listened to her tell stories.
Be careful coming down these steps. Don't want to miss one. Well, where'd you go?
Right here.
Wow, imagine how much cereal you get in that spoon.
Huh?
Said imagine how much cereal you get in that spoon.
Hmm?
I guess you grab that and run. Get a spoonful, take off so nobody can fight you for it.
You never know how many people had living in this house.
Yeah. An entire family, regardless as to how many there were.
I'd go crazy.
And it might even be an extended family.
I'd go
2 or
nuts.
3 generations.
My kids would be outside every day.
Yeah, well, that's what they were. Outside
Now
working.
I'm up on my behind them.
I don't know what age they were when they started doing chores and working around the farmhouse, but
Probably
got
little.
pretty young. Doing laundry in a bucket.
Mm-hmm. With one of them scrubby board things.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Scrubby board, washboard.
I'm
Why
kind
don't
of
you let's go back there and check out that other little thing that's back there. Cause last time we didn't get to.
Can we go back there?
I don't know. We'll ask him.
Yeah, we'll ask that guy. I wasn't sure if we were allowed to go back that way or not. There's an old sifter for something. I don't know what they used it for. Probably beans or something like that, green beans. Butter churn.
They had a lot more stuff up there before. Yeah, they did. I believe so.
I am surprised I don't see one of those old washboards. But
Didn't they say that the people, the mom cooked way down there?
I can't remember.
Hand me that notebook and I'll sign it. No, I'll put it back.
huh?
That notebook. I have a pen. I don't know if it comes off, but I don't feel like getting up. I'm hungry. When I get hungry, I get shaky. Like,
There's another spinning wheel right there. Actually has, looks like they use that to make rope with. Or twine, whatever they needed. That's pretty cool.
there. I'll put your name on there too, guys.
Well,
Alright. He asked for like the location. Everybody else put where they're from, so I put where they're from. Feels good in here. And they live like we do. No AC.
wow, no windows either. They got a front door, that's it. Well, I guess they had these portals.
They probably had them open back then.
I guess they probably stayed open.
Yeah.
Except maybe during the winter time.
Well, I don't think they had plexiglass back in Zoom.
No. But I would think they had some way to close them.
Okay, if you come in a zero, the farthest mountain range, farthest mountain range, you know those two bars, see the left two bars, see those two bars,
See, that guy should just be given
those two bars,
regular tours.
and you see those little covers. Probably can't see them, I wouldn't, I didn't know where to look.
See, a lot of times that's how they do it. Like they did that one day. They have time. When you get your map thing or whatever, it
Yeah.
tells you a time that they're gonna have a tour here.
Right,
It's story time, and then you come at that certain time and see the story.
right.
This is the
But-
best eyesight here.
I guess with COVID, they don't have that many people who want to help out. Cause you know good well that guy's volunteering. He ain't getting paid.
Oh, yeah.
Come straight up and look at the farthest mountain range.
I like that candle holder.
Yeah, little lantern.
Yeah,
That's what they use to light the house
so
with.
I'd like to have some of them at my house. Save on my power bill.
Boy, that would be kind of dangerous.
Yeah, probably. Especially with Zeke running around. You can take Zeke with you to Texas.
No.
Oh yeah, that's cool. You take me with you then.
I done told him he's gonna
You
take
think
me in a suitcase.
Stacy would want to come here. I mean, we can't all afford to go there. You think she'd want to come here and meet?
I told him to
Our
stuff me in a
family.
suitcase and I'd cut my hair and shave so I looked like I was 12 again. Find a nice foster family. Take me in.
That would be nice for her to do. I mean, we'd have to get her house cleaned up, but they could stay in the boys' room if they wanted to, whenever we get it cleaned up.
Well, she has mentioned,
Cause I'd love to meet her and the kids, but they have more, not saying they're loaded with money, but they have actual funds to be able to do that kind of stuff.
yeah,
We don't. Plus, we have a bigger family than they do to be able to travel. And if they didn't want to stay with us, there's a hotel that's close by. I mean. But Matthew and Cameron's room, I mean, Zeke sleeps in it, that's it. The whole room. We're thinking about turning Zeke's old room into a master bathroom at some point.
well, that would be nice.
And Billy wants to build a deck, like on the side of the house where the living room is in your room.
Yeah,
Build a deck out there.
These are all the youngest.
And where that window is in the living room that's facing that side, put a door, like a glass door or something.
it goes out to the deck.
That goes out to the deck, and then we get to be on the deck and see the kids playing in the yard.
Yeah,
Really?
well, next time go outside the house, young man.
Yeah. God. I'd be embarrassed if I was you.
I feel much better though.
I was gonna say open the window, but there ain't no window.
Oh,
Before that guy comes back in here.
maybe it'll close. It'll go out the door.
Yeah, chatting and joking.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, he packed away. He got beats up there,
Well, this guy and that woman are talkers.
I did see it. My husband and I were
We can always pause your video till they come back,
that was his name.
or till he gets done.
Yeah,
People do that on TikTok all the time.
I'm gonna
Pause their
try.
video.
Okay, I'm
We'll be
gonna-
back in a minute. And then,
Well, I think he's coming back in.
Me and his,
He lived in, he actually lived in China in his antique house in
oh, hey,
a more modern.
yeah, he was a good one.
Yes, he was.
Okay, good talking to you.
Alright, good talking with you as well, man.
Alrighty. You guys got any questions?
Well, I was wondering if you could tell us about that bed up there that's got the ropes on it. What's
Yeah.
the history of that kind of thing?
Well, you've heard of sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite.
Yes, I've heard the
Okay.
expression.
Sleep tight means to make sure that rope's really tight so you sleep better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But no, that's a rope bed like they used back in the 1700s. if you were fortunate to have a bed.
Yeah.
And they put those feather pillars and so forth on there and quilts and stuff. It's not like the Tempur-Pedic mattresses in these cabins. that
Yeah.
you're on apart.
I was trying to imagine what it would feel like with those things crossing over your
Yeah,
back.
I don't know that I could sleep on one of those, to be honest with you. But I guess if you're tired enough, you probably could sleep in
Yeah, I
yours.
guess so.
Yeah.
Well, back then that's all they had probably. So
Yeah,
it ain't
or
like
sleep
they
on the
do
floor.
the new day, you know.
Yeah, or sleep on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
What's a little bit of history about this place?
Well, this was the original one was in East Carter's Valley, okay, and it was called the John Anderson Blockhouse after Captain John Anderson. And what it was is a stopover point for settlers to go into Kentucky, okay. Kentucky back then was a promised land. It was a lot of fertile farmland, a lot of buffalo, a lot of elk, a lot of deer. Of course, we still got a lot of deer. So everybody wanted to go to Kentucky. So, but you just couldn't say, hey, us three of us head on to Kentucky, because you wouldn't get 10 miles. You'd probably end up scalped and killed.
Right.
So what they would do, the Anderson Blockhouse was in East Carter's Valley. It was a centralized point for Valley, Virginia settlers coming down, Holston settlements from Kingsport coming up, Yadkin Valley, North Carolina settlers coming up, and they would meet there. And they'd have these spies out looking for Indian movement, okay? Like tonight, probably they'd sleep outside. If it's raining, they'd sleep inside. Of course, this would be a dirt floor.
Right.
You'd have 20 or 30 smelly people sleeping on the floor, so you can imagine what the conditions were like.
Right.
Andersons would sleep upstairs. So if they didn't see any Indian movement, hey, they'd go on into Kentucky, okay? But you had these every 8 to 10 to 12 miles apart. For example, you
So
start
the
out.
families opened up the house to the.
Yep, they
settlers.
would, exactly. And they would sell them supplies if they needed
Okay.
some and so forth. So, but you'd have these things every 8 to 10 to 12 miles apart. You'd have like Moore's Fort in Castlewood. You had Fort Blackmore, which is in Fort Blackmore.
I've been to
Boone.
Fort Pulaski
Yeah.
in Georgia, but
Fort
it looks
Pulaski.
like a jail. It don't look like this.
Yeah, that's probably 1800s, I guess.
I don't know. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
But it is kind of like a jail in a way.
Yeah, it's probably more, I guess, 1800s. But you had Fort Blackmore, and Daniel Boone was captain in Fort Blackmore for a couple of years. Kilgore Fort, and then you had Fort Lee, which was Ryco Fort, Christmas Fort, Carter's Fort, whatever they named it at the time. And that's where that cabin inside the tunnel was part of that, and that's about 2 miles up the road here. And you come on across the
Oh,
mountain.
the cabin that's down there by
Yeah.
the tunnel. That
Yeah.
we went Carter's cabin or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was part of Carter's Fort. It's actually, the military name was Fort Lee, okay? But some call it Ryco Fort. I think Isaac Christman built that cabin as part of the fort in 1774. He and his wife and 2 small children were killed like 18 months later in an Indian raid.
Oh no.
So they called it Christman's Fort, maybe in his honor, or might have called it, well, he's alive, we don't know.
Right.
And Carter's Fort, which the Carters later ended up at the cabin, and it got moved a couple times, but it was originally part of Carter's Fort, which is about 2 miles out here.
Okay.
But you go across the gap there in Duffield. Now, have I mentioned y'all about the Daniel Boone Center in Duffield?
No.
Okay.
The gas station.
And, well, it's above the gas station there in
I didn't
Duffield.
know there was.
Yeah, okay, that's part of Natural Tunnel State Park, okay?
Oh.
We're fortunate here, we got 3 great state parks. 20 minutes up the road in Big Stone Gap, you got the Southwest Virginia Museum and Historical State Park,
Yeah, we've been there.
okay?
I don't know about no state park, but we've been to the
Yeah,
museum.
That's what it's a state park.
I never could figure out why they called it a state park for.
Yeah, it's a lot of historical stuff. They got state people staffing it and stuff, so they do concerts outside on the mall there and stuff.
Oh.
So you got Natural Tunnel State Park, which you guys are at, and then in Duffield, an extension of Natural Tunnel State Park is the Daniel Boone Wilderness Trail and Interpretive Center.
Huh.
So you guys need to check that out.
Okay.
You go to Duffield, and there's only one traffic light. Take a left. Short distance up through there, you'll see a sign. There's a Duffield Pattonville School on the left, but right on the right, you'll see a sign that says Daniel Boone Wilderness Trail and Interpretive Center. It's open to 6. It's free. It's just been built.
We need to go today
And,
on our way back home.
Yeah, and you look up in the mountains there and you'll see a gap. That gap was one of the original trails into Kentucky. We're working right now to get that trail where we can have public access to it, because that's one of the very few trails still left in this country that is non-disturbed.
Oh.
Oh.
So hopefully here in a year or so, you can come back and hike up through there and say you've hiked the footsteps of Daniel Boone, 200,000-300,000
That would be
settlers.
awesome.
Yeah, going to Kentucky.
Right.
What about Thomas Walker? Was he
That's on
part of that too?
Yeah. Anywhere from, and that was used up to the 1800s, and it was served as a mail route.
Mhm.
But it's a hard. You get up to the top, it's pretty steep grade. And but the third part, and that ties in with Thomas Walker. You go on down, you got the Wilderness Road State Park, which is the farthest state park in Virginia, and then you got Martin Station there, and that's probably Cumberland Gap's just a few distance, maybe 15-20 minutes on down. So you got Cumberland Gap National Park. But Wilderness Road State Park's Martin Station there, and it's a fully stockaded fortress built to 1700 standards.
Why ain't we never been to there? We passed it a bunch of times. Just ain't
And
never been to it.
You see those buffalo down there?
Yes,
Okay.
we got pictures of them.
And they've got a Native American village there too. So you can see how
What?
the Native American Indians live.
Actually, when I was
That
in
would be
scouts,
awesome.
our scout trip,
That'll be our next trip.
do a day hike from
Yeah.
Martin Station
Yeah.
to Cumberland Gap State Park. Do about 20 miles, and we'll lay up on the ridge.
Yeah.
It's called Mishawmakwa, was the name of the
Is that right?
trail, is what we called it.
Yeah.
But we take a day pack.
Yeah.
We start about 7 o'clock in the morning
Yeah.
and hike 20 miles in
Wow.
one day.
Wow.
It'd wear you out.
The thing about Martin Station is though, that's a fully stockaded fortress, Virginia General Assembly Way doll building code. So you go in that, you're in the 1700s. It have dirt floors and it's totally different.
Awesome.
Here, this had to be built to spec to code. That would
Right.
have been, the Andersons probably would have had a wooden ladder right there. The gun ports would have had deerskin oil paper, even boards nailed up on them. You wouldn't have had this here. You'd had
Yeah.
a dirt floor.
Right.
We got recessed line.
They cook in here too?
Right
Or did they cook back there in that?
Well, it depended. If it's in the summer and you had time, you bake your bread out here in this. Otherwise, you'd use this right here.
Huh.
Now, assuming that this blockhouse was in its original location,
Yeah.
travelers would be probably on foot or covered wagon,
Well, both, and then you get horseback, covered wagons,
right?
foot
So,
travel.
how long would it take to get from like the Tennessee state line to here? How far are we from on foot like that from Tennessee state line and the Kentucky state line in the other direction?
It depends. The settlers would take the path of the least resistance, okay?
Right.
In a lot of cases, that was buffalo trails. Those animals had a lot of natural instinct that they take the path of least resistance. So you'd have automatically a trail carved out with buffalo travel, for example. But still, even outside of that, you're talking, me and my wife went up there and walked the Pell River Trail today. We covered 2 miles. And it took us, and this was paved surface. It wasn't
Right.
going over tree.
Right, we walked part of that.
Yeah, so it all depends. It all depends. But the thing about it is, you gotta have like dry jerky and food.
Right,
You know, you may have
Right.
to kill your supper on the way travels or whatever. So really, it'd be hard to say.
Yeah,
I know my dad's grandfather lived in, I can't remember if it was probably Missouri. And back in his day, they traveled in covered wagon from there over into Kansas and stuff like that, you
Yeah.
know, resettled.
Yeah, this area was mountainous, okay, but you had a lot of springs, which is good. Now, there's some brutal massacres took place this area here. Archibald Scott, I was telling you they'd set those things every 8 to 10 to 12 miles apart,
Right.
like the blockhouse, and you come on over. You go through Cain's Gap, and the next stop over would be Scott Station, and that was a cabin with gun ports in it. No way would I put my family out in the wilderness in a cabin way away from everybody else with gun ports in it. You're just asking for
Right.
trouble. So,
Right.
and it did happen. One evening they saw some Indian movement along the ridge, and they didn't want to panic the kids, so they had their normal thing. They had their supper, and who knows, they might have had fried squirrel or fried deer or gravy or whatever.
Right.
Put the kids to bed. So that evening they kicked the door in. They shot Archibald, who was the dad, tomahawked the little kids to death. And one of the little girls ran up and put her arms around her mom, Fannie Mae, and tomahawked her to death right there in her mom's arms, okay?
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
So they took Fannie Mae, the mother, captive. They headed up towards, I guess, Big Stone Gap. And she'd start getting fatigued. And there comes how long would it take you to travel. So she started getting fatigued. And they'd slap her in the face with her husband and kids' scalps to get her to move.
Oh my God.
So after about a day or two into the journey, they left her with an elderly Indian chief. He was skinning deer hides. The rest of them went to steal settler horses, okay? And she managed to escape and stayed out in the wilderness for whoever knows how long before she finally made it back to civilization, married and started over again.
Wow.
Wow.
But you keep on going. Outside of that, there was even a more brutal massacre took place in October of 1773 on the other side of the gap, just up from Scott Station. And Larry Fleener lives in Big Stone. You've heard Dr. Fleener.
Yeah.
His son, Dr. Fleener's son James taught me in high school.
Okay. Larry's written some books on the history of this area. He's phenomenal on what he knows, and he's working with us on this trail development, writing some essays and stuff to get some grant money. So James Boone, Daniel Boone's son, got massacred in October 1773, and they camped out. I'll start with the whole story. Daniel Boone came across William Russell from Castle's Woods, so they wanted to do a trip into Kentucky. Okay. So they met up the road, and something came up that William Russell couldn't leave at that time. So he said, well, I'm going to leave my son Henry Russell behind, and I'll follow up the rear. So Daniel Boone said, hey, I'll go ahead, I'll take a party and go ahead and go on through Cain's Gap, and we'll head on to Kentucky, and somewhere along the trail we'll camp out. He said, I'm going to leave my younger son, James Boone, follow up the middle. Okay, you had James Boone, Henry Russell, Isaac Crabtree, 2 Mendenhalls, and 2 slaves. And they probably had a cow, maybe they was bringing with them, they probably had some few farm utensils. So here they come, they go through Cain's Gap, Duffield, go past Scott Station, go on into Lee County. So they camped at a place over on Wallens Creek that had a mushroom-shaped spring. Little Wallens Creek was there. You can go out there and take you a nice bath and get cleaned up. And you got a good bubbly source of, bless you,
Thank you.
good bubbly source of water. And you got a little flat bottom to camp out. So they did that. And this was in October 1773. It's probably foggy, as the fog was lifting that morning. They were ambushed with some Cherokee, Shawnee, and Delaware Indians. They shot, the 2 Mendenhalls were killed in the opening volley. Crabtree escaped out in the woods. One of the slaves escaped and hid behind some driftwood on Wallens Creek and watched this massacre took place. The other slave they took captive, okay? James Boone and Henry Russell were shot in the hips, so they couldn't escape. So you got 2 young boys, 16 years old, laying on the ground. Here's these Native Americans coming around, and they start slicing them to pieces. And James Boone recognized one of those as Big Jim, and he was a personal friend of Daniel Boone. And had spent the night in Boone's cabin on several occasions in Yadkin Valley, North Carolina. But yet he's slicing Boone's son all to pieces. And James Boone says, hey, Big Jim, I'm Daniel Boone's son. Don't you know who I am? So they'd stop torturing those boys, and he'd go read some of their food stuff, start coming back torturing them again, where they were peeling their skin back, pulling their fingernails and toenails out. To the point those boys finally were begging them to kill them. And they mutilated those poor boys' bodies so bad they had, I guess, trouble identifying which one was which. So the moral of that story, or the key thing to that story, is that took place on the other side of Duffield. Now Larry Fleener's written all kinds of books, Dr. Fleener, and I don't know how he had time to be a physician with all
I'd be able to, I wish I could find them all.
Well, they've got them down here. You got Firegrass, and there's a couple others. It's Dr. Lawrence Fleener. They're in this store.
Oh, well, I can look them up too.
Yeah, and anyway, that slave hid behind some driftwood and watched that massacre took place. You had that bubbly spring and a little flat bottom right on Wallens Creek. So Larry'd been all up down Wallens Creek, and he said, I know exactly where that took place at. He said, there's a spring. So I told him, I said, take me down there sometime and show me. So me and Larry and Kenny Fannin went down through there, and you go up the hill of Duffield down, take a left, you go out there where Fannin Springs Church is at, and we cross a little bit of private property. So we went out there, and Larry said, I can't believe this. This is amazing. I said, well, what is it? He said, I've been coming here for years, and this is the first time I've seen driftwood in Wallens Creek. And it was the only place on the creek it could form because it had a real sharp bend there. And
Wow.
ours was that spring, it wasn't the mushroom shaped spring, it was in the 1700s, of course, but there's a steel spring in the ground. That little flat bottom, you get an icky feeling you went in there. No question in my mind, that's where that slave hid under that driftwood.
Mhm.
Watched that massacre take place.
Yeah.
And Laurie was right on the money, in my opinion, where that was at. So.
Wow.
I've actually been to the gravesite where Daniel Boone's son is buried.
Yeah, that's right over where I'm telling you at. Yeah.
Why are you going to all these cool places?
When I was
Take
in
me.
Boy Scouts.
Yeah, Boy Scouts, they get into a lot of stuff.
Well, can I be in it?
Uh,
Well, Zeke needs to be in it, our son, whenever he gets older.
Now, y'all live in Appalachia?
Derby,
Derby?
specifically, yeah.
Okay. My dad worked in Derby coal mines up there in the 50s.
I got one of them coal camp houses that all the ones that all look the same.
Yeah, it's got that funny block to it.
Yeah, they were duplex houses.
Yeah, they,
I got one of them for $8,000
yeah,
The
that's,
whole entire house.
off of an old man named Monk Slum.
I remember I went to school with some slums that probably related to them.
Eddie.
Eddie Sloan, yeah.
See, my dad bought Eddie's house across the road
Yeah.
for me, and then I bought Monk's.
But you got a nice house, cause that's history right there. And
Yeah, I'd like to
it's
know
like-
about the history of that house. Like, how do you find out?
You could Google some of it and probably find out. The museum up in Brickstone might have some stuff on those
I mean,
things.
that'd be nice to know.
Yeah, but those houses, they built them all for those miners.
Yeah.
But you know something? Eastman Chemical, I was told Tennessee Eastman was gonna locate in Big Stone Gap where Bullet Park's at. And Stone Lake Coal Company wouldn't let them because they was gonna take their workforce for miners. So they blocked them, so they ended up going to Kingsport.
Actually, I do know a little bit about the history of like Derby.
Yeah,
Those houses,
Well, Derby, yeah, because we have a book that we
those
read about
houses
it.
were built between 1923 and 1924, and they,
yeah,
you could see, look at old pictures, you could tell there was one crew that went through and dug and set the footers,
yeah,
and the next crew come up behind them and did the studs all the way up to the roof, and you
Yeah.
could see the way it was laid out. But,
yeah,
the block that was used,
yeah,
at the time that they got those blocked, there were
Yeah.
2 places in the country that made them. One somewhere out in like Arizona and New Mexico, and one in Pennsylvania, I
Yeah.
believe. And there's actually no record of those blocks ever being purchased.
oh heck,
And the reason they named it Derby was there was some big mining inspectors, big wigs,
yeah,
coming through at one point, and they were on their way to the Kentucky Derby.
Yep.
that's how
And
that's.
that's-
There's a book about
Yeah.
dirt, the whole
That's pretty
Derby.
interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, my dad worked
No,
up in,
Appalachia, ain't it?
Derby Mines. I was born in 1954, and he got his hand and his fingers cut off in a piece of machinery underground. He didn't know his fingers were off. He numbed his hand. He took his gloves off, and there he didn't have any fingers.
Bless it.
And I wasn't even born then. So,
But I
yeah,
mean, I'd like to know like the history of just our house instead of all of it. I mean, that is interesting to know
yeah, it's pretty interesting
all that
stuff.
stuff. But I want to know like who all lived in our house and what the history of our house
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff.
They did have a big mining incident. There was some kind of explosion or something. Something happened because the mine inundated with water.
Yeah.
Flood. And
And Brownie Paula
Brownie
lived in,
Paula.
yeah, lived in
I was
that
in
house.
Scouts with Brownie's grandsons,
Yeah,
Wesley. Well,
Yeah,
there's
he lived in-
Wesley the first and Wesley the
he
second.
let them miners out, yeah. Now, when I was a little boy, that slate nut blew up there.
Mhm.
Yeah. Up there at Arno, that slate nut blew up, and they just put the road up. And I remember he twisted, we went up there and he twisted that steel rail on that railroad track like noodles.
My mama said that there used to be a house down under there, and
Oh, yeah,
the lady was actually inside of it
yeah,
when it happened.
yep, yep. It
What
sure
are you talking
was.
about?
They-
Because she didn't go to church on Sunday morning.
Well,
Slate uphill.
Oh, okay.
see, all that was burning underground there. They had an old slate dump fire, and that thing burned for years. You know, I reckon all that rainwater, just like a vacuum pressure thing, just blew it up. But that, you could go up through there and see that smoke coming, steam coming out of the ground. Where I think it's a coal seam on fire on the ground or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty.
Can you go back? Can we walk back there and check that stuff out?
Yeah, you sure can. You go upstairs and look around.
Well, we did that one
Okay,
already.
yeah, you go ahead and look.
My grandparents, they bought the house directly across the road from the church up there, like
Yeah.
72, I think.
Yeah.
Can I get y'all some?
We did.
Okay.
I did.
Let me tell you about this blacksmith shop right here. My neighbor, Gary passed away. He owned across Magnolia. He owned that property. He owns this out here, and he owns where this White House is at over here. But of course, Gary passed away, and his daughter Courtney's moved in Gary's house, and she's a vet that runs Fort Paul's Veterinary Clinic Hospital. So I told Gary one day, I said, we need a blacksmith shop. I said, you got an old building or house out there? He said, sure. He said, I've got an old 2-story slave quarters. I said, you're kidding. So me and him went out that little road there, and you take a ride out there, and it's just on the other side of that little knoll where it sits down in there, and there was that 2-story house, cabin. Part of it was deteriorated on one end. He said that used to be a 2-story slave quarters. Said, y'all can have that. So I got to hold the park, and they went out there and numbered the logs and everything. Of course, they cut it up and made a blacksmith shop and storage building. But the park don't like me to tell you that was a slave quarters,
Right.
because there's no evidence to prove that.
Right.
But Gary was handed down to his
But
family, so
That's
it's
interesting.
a slave quarters.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, that blacksmith shop, that's part of the history. But now he also told me, see those knolls of trees right over there? There's a sinkhole over there, and there's a little cliff. They executed a deserter during the Civil War over there. But now the park here's got underground caves. They do cave tours.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah, of course, Bill Kaywood.
How do
He
you
was
sign up for that?
a teacher.
He taught at Powell Valley, but I've heard the name.
Yeah,
I went to Appalachia.
yeah, he's.
I got out before they combined.
Yeah. See, I used to be president of the Appalachia Athletic Association. I was going to have to get that field house built. I lived in Big Stone, right beside of Ben Allen, who announced ball games for Powell Valley. My daughter went to school at Powell Valley, and my son graduated from Appalachia because he knew he couldn't play ball for Phil Robbins because they had too many kids there. So he went up there and played for Tom, and Tom nicknamed him. You heard the Stone Egg Stallion? He named my son the Duffield Donkey.
What is your son's name?
Brad Taylor. Yeah, but he played ball for Tom, and of course he coached there at Ryco. He's a math and special ed teacher here at Ryco. But anyway, back to them caves. See that little sinkhole down there? That's an underground cave. You see this down here, a sinkhole? That's an underground cave. And over there,
Oh.
and this one here is probably one too. Somebody told me if you were in Europe and you were with cave explorers, you mentioned the name Lee or Scott, they know exactly what you're talking about, Lee or Scott County, because there's so many underground caves here with all these impressions.
Wow, that'd be nice to
That's
go
like
to.
right there at Castlewood High School. There's a cave. You can
Yeah.
see a cave under the high school.
Yeah, y'all seen those cell phone towers on High Knob when you come to Walmart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me show you where they're at.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can see them good now. See those two barns right there, the two little barns?
yeah.
Looks like the road goes between them. It doesn't, but just use in between those two barns, the center, come up the farthest mountain range. The farthest mountain range you can see to the left center a little ways. You see those towers sticking up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's High Knob Towers.
No, I did.
Wow.
Okay.
You see them?
Yeah, it's crazy going up on High
I
Knob,
think I
seeing
do
them
over
towers
here.
sitting
You
there.
have to, if I didn't use those two buildings as a center point, spot them, there's two buildings, you come straight up the farthest mountain range, left center. Now that old tower, you see where that little knoll comes up? Right out here, that old tower used to be, you could see it in the fall, but you can't see that new one.
I'll tell you, if you know where Inman is in that place,
Yeah.
right? If you go up the mountain, all the way up top of the mountain at the Kentucky state line,
Yeah,
you can take a left and it goes out to this big radar tower.
That
Looks like
big
a big
dog.
white golf ball.
yeah,
You can see that from north,
yeah, I've seen that.
from the 4-lane or the old Magic Mark parking
Hello.
lot.
Oh.
Yeah, I've seen that when the sun's shining on you, see that real plain.
Hey, let's walk back here and look at this stuff.
What's your name?
Dale Taylor.
Dale. Thank you so much for all the information.
Okay, no
Thank
problem
you.
at all. Y'all, you can Google Virginia State Parks and go to that website. They've got 41 state parks now.
Well, when we leave here, I want to go check out that place in Duffield
Yeah,
on the way home.
yeah. Check out the Daniel Boone Willis Turn Purpose Center. But you can go to pick up any state park and go to programs and events. Put your calendar on, and you see what's going on. But now they're doing something there in October at that Martin Station. Billy Heck's the manager down there. He's telling me what it was. So they usually they set buildings on fire and stuff down there, and they shoot those like powder rifles.
That'd be
So-
nice. to see.
Yeah. So okay, we'll see you
Okay,
guys.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
There was, somewhere around Jonesville, they used to do a Civil War reenactment.
That's what they do with that Fort Flag.
Cook your bread. cook a pizza. A brick oven.
Some towels in
Like
there.
do that landscape from the 1700s.
Nope. This is so cool.
Blacksmith place. That must have been the forge where he heated up the horseshoes.
Mm-hmm. So this is real slave. How?
Well, it's all filled in now.
That's pretty neat. You open that door and there's a white door.
Oh, I guess they don't want you going in there. Well, they got those timbers packed with mud to insulate, keep the wind from coming through.
A bell, it looks like it's in there. Oh shit,
Don't know if we can see it there or not. That was, well,
See out here.
let's look at that other side.
in Lee County.
Okay guys, that's going to wrap up another video. I think we're going to drive down the roadways and go stop one more place, so we'll make a video down there. I'll see you when we get there. Until then, aloha, God bless.